Hello, my name's Julie Shields Rutina, and I'm the Director of College Planning, Education, and Training at MEFA. And we're going to talk about college admissions. A little bit about MEFA. MEFA is a state authority created by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in 1982, and we were created to help families plan, save, and pay for college. And we continue to do that today with all of our offerings. Today, we're going to talk about the current trends in college admissions, building your college list, a word about campus visits, the application process, and we will touch upon financial aid. However, I will tell you that we have many, many other resources about financial aid. So I encourage you to look at those on our website as well. And throughout, we'll talk about free resources for you. So, what are the current trends in college admissions? Well, one is that students are applying to a greater number of colleges. And one reason for that is something called the Common App, which you will hear more about when you're in the admissions process. That's an application that you complete online, and then you can send it to many different colleges by completing the one application. So that makes it easier to send college applications to numerous colleges. So that's one of the big reasons that students are applying to more colleges. And also, the more selective institutions that you are applying to, the more you want to make sure that you're going to have good options. And so we advise that if a student is applying to many, many very selective institutions, that they do make sure they have enough colleges on their lists so that they will have lots of choices. There's something called demonstrated interest being a factor because students are applying to so many colleges. Colleges can no longer be sure that when they receive an application for a student, it's because the student is super, super interested. It's a possibility that the student just sort of added them at the last minute, even though we discourage that. So for that reason, colleges, when they're looking at applications, they look for as this what's called demonstrated interest. So what is that? That might be that they look to see, did the student visit campus? Did the student participate in an admissions webinar online? Did the student reach out to an admissions representative to ask a question? It can be all things like that. And those things, can give the college a good sense that the student is really interested. Some colleges, again, those that are very selective, that receive many, many applications, may not pay attention to that at all. But for others, they may. So if you are very interested in an institution, make sure you make a connection, and that can be helpful in the admissions process. Let's talk about social media. Social media, the pros and the cons. I mean, one nice thing is that all colleges have social media accounts these days, and they put a lot of information out there in that way. So it's a great way for a student to really get a sense of what's happening on campus and stay connected to the different institutions. So that's terrific. The one warning and caution that I continue to give is that if a student has social media profiles out there, make sure that you would want a potential employer, the potential college, an older relative, anything to be able to see those posts and your social media profile. So you just want to make sure that there's nothing out there that could ever give anyone a reason to think that you might not be a serious student, for example. Cost is becoming a bigger factor in the admissions process, and rightly so. We encourage families to consider affordability when thinking about advising your students. So students consider it, parents consider it, because while there are many factors in choosing a college, making sure it's affordable for you, the student, and you, the parents, is very important. So college is expensive, and you do want to make sure it's affordable. Um, After the pandemic, well, during the pandemic, colleges did a lot of things virtually. So they did interviews, offered interviews with students virtually. They gave campus tours online. They held information sessions online. all of that. And the nice thing is they continue to do a lot of that. So now students have the option to participate in many in-person events on a college campus, but also to take advantage of virtual events, especially if colleges are not located near where you live. So that's a great thing. There are also more test optional colleges, meaning um, there are fewer colleges that require the SAT or ACT. So you want to look into that when you're looking at what's required for college admissions at the different colleges. And because there are fewer tests, there are more test optional colleges. Um, that means that higher numbers of applications are going to a lot of colleges. So again, that's a good reason you should really take the time to create a balanced list. The key is that you want to have choices senior year in the spring when it comes time to choosing a college. And lastly, longer wait lists as well, because more students are applying to different colleges and not everyone can be admitted. Even if you're totally qualified, there are wait lists. All right, stay organized with the process. And it really doesn't matter how you do it. You're going to find your way to do it. But MEFA does have a college application manager that you can download where you just keep track of the colleges you're interested in. You keep track of admissions deadlines, financial aid deadlines. Do you have to take the SAT or ACT, or are they test optional? And any notes, you think you're going to remember everything, but it's helpful to jot down your impressions as you learn about these different colleges. So you can use that, you can create your own spreadsheet, you can have a big whiteboard next to your desk, you can keep it on your phone, whatever works for you, but stay organized with this process because there are a lot of little pieces. All right. So, how do you start researching colleges? How do you start looking at colleges? There are some ways to begin with online tools, and you see a few of them on the screen. College Navigator, College Scorecard, Big Future, that's from the College Board, and MEFA Pathway, which is MEFA's college and career planning tool. So, you can use these tools. You they all work similarly in that you put in information about yourself, your interests, the type of program you're interested in. If you know, do you want to go to a large school, a smaller school? Do you want to go to school in your home state or your home region? Or do you want to expand that search? You can put all of that information in, and that narrows your search. And so then you can begin looking at colleges that seem to suit what you think you want. And that's the key, because you really should take a lot of time to explore, really read about colleges online, look at all they have to offer. These websites offer a lot of detailed information as far as, is it a 2-year college? Is it a 4-year college? Is it public or private? Is it located in a city or a rural area? And then detailed statistics like what's the graduation rate? When students start at that college, do they graduate or do they transfer out? And then it even gives average annual costs and average salaries of graduates, all of that. So take that into consideration as you begin your search for colleges. And hopefully, what that allows you to do is narrow it down a bit, because there are so many wonderful institutions out there. So you can narrow it down. If you are interested in engineering, you want to make sure you're applying to colleges that have an engineering program. Same with nursing, something like that. So start there, and then you can take it a few steps further. And the types of things you want to consider are, the size of the institution and its location. But you may not know that when you start the process. So you might want to visit some colleges, even in your local area. Visit a large institution, visit a small institution, visit an institution in a city, visit an institution, in a quieter area, and get a sense of the campus, talk to the students. Or even if you don't visit, you can do some of that online too. But that you'll see that as you begin to spend more time doing this research, you'll start to have a sense of what feels good to you? What feels like you might like to be the next step? You may not know that up front. You also want to look for things like academic fit. You want to know, are the students on this campus like me? Do they, colleges have the academic profile of the last class they admitted posted, and you can see, do these students get the type of grades you get? Do they, if they you do take the SAT or the ACT, do they get the type of scores you get? And even if you're visiting a college, are these students studying in the library on the weekend, or are they having a more balanced college life, and are they at a football game? Either of those is fine, but you want to find a place that fits you academically. And you definitely, if you feel very strongly about an intended major, you want to make sure your colleges you're applying to have that major, but also beware that students change their majors once they get to college. So know that as well. And then learning style, I think sometimes that really comes into play with the size of the institution and the size of the classes. Are you the type of student who likes to, sit in the back of the class, take in the whole class, all the information, and then maybe go back to your room and go through it again and study that way and do the homework that way? Or are you someone who wants to sit in the front? You want to participate, you want to ask questions, you want to hear what other students have to say, and have a discussion right there in class. You might want an institution that has a lot of smaller classes that allow you to have that participation. And I know there's students who like either and both of those. And you can get a sense of a campus culture and activities and all of that online, but it is also helpful to visit colleges to really get a sense of that. Again, what type of clubs are big on campus, or what type of activities happen on the weekends on campus. And most colleges have study abroad opportunities, career and internship services. But when you're on a campus, you might want to ask a little more about those programs. And we mentioned it is a good idea to make an affordable choice. So consider affordability as well. But again, that's not just the sticker price. That's how much you're going to end up paying after financial aid. So I've mentioned campus visits a couple of times. I think it's a great way to get to know a campus. And so the local colleges, get up and visit. You can informally visit by just going. You might want to go to a sporting event or a theater production on a campus. Walk around, see how the students, are they sitting out on the lawn? Are they having fun in the library, the dining hall, all of that? You can definitely do that. Once you're in the process, though, say junior year, and you go to a campus, you might want to make it a formal visit. In other words, you might want to check in with the admissions office, let them know you're there, maybe attend an information session, take a campus tour with a student. If you take a campus tour with a student, they usually make sure to take you into a dorm and into the dining hall and to the library, and they take you to all those places. And you can ask the student questions as well. So I would say always informal, fine, but as you're in the process, make some formal visits, make sure that the college knows that you're there. Another place that you can connect with colleges, and this is especially true for colleges that are not in your area, is through college fairs. And some of these are in person and some are online. But you sign up, and it helps if you, a lot of colleges come to these fairs. So it helps if you sort of look and see which colleges are going to be there ahead of time and think about the ones that you want to make sure to visit. So make some notes. There's sometimes information sessions where you can learn things about the college process. And then you can sometimes schedule one-on-one meetings with different college representatives. So that, again, that's a great way to get to know a college without having to travel there. So check out nacacfairs.org and NACAC.org for upcoming events. So then when you're putting together your list, hopefully you have fun with this research part of the process. And then as you narrow it down, you will decide, I'm going to apply to these 8 schools, for example. And you want to make sure that it's a balanced list. So you want to make sure that there are a couple of schools on that list that, given your grades and everything about you and the college, that you're a really good match and you likely will be admitted. And that's from all the information you learn about the college. You want to have a couple of colleges on your list like that because you want to have options. And then many colleges fall into the category of possible, where sure, your profile fits students at that college, but sometimes, many times, many more qualified students apply to a college, and so that doesn't guarantee that you'll be admitted, but it's possible you'll be admitted. So you have some colleges like that on your list. And then you have those colleges that you fell in love with, and you might your profile is close to the type of student that is there, but those colleges that receive thousands upon thousands of applications of many qualified students, making it what we call a reach school, meaning that you may not be admitted just because of the huge number of applications they receive from qualified applicants, and maybe the students are half a grade point a little beyond your final high school grades, but you still want to try. So you put a couple of those colleges on your list too, but make sure it's a balanced list. And you have a choice of how and when you apply. So regular decision process is usually an early January deadline. And then they let you know if you're admitted sometime mid-spring. And of course, you have to let a college know that you're going to attend by the national decision deadline, which is May 1st. But many colleges now have some early programs, one being early action, which just means they have admissions deadlines in November, December. And that means you also find out if you've been admitted earlier, sometimes before winter break, which is a nice feeling to just know that you've been admitted some places. So many students take advantage of that at this point. But then you still don't have to let those colleges know until May 1st. This third one, early decision, is something very specific. So early decision means that you apply early in November or December, and by applying early decision, you are telling that college, if you admit me, I will attend. That's a big promise, and it's a binding agreement. So you want to be really sure that you can follow through with that. And that means you want to know everything about that college. You want to make sure it is far and away your top choice, because what happens is if you are admitted, you are supposed to withdraw your applications from all other institutions, and you never get to hear about the decision from them or any financial aid from them. So you're making a decision a little bit blindly, but you're letting that college know that you're really interested and that you will attend. The money piece is a little tricky with that. So you really want to have taken advantage of any conversations with admissions and financial aid folks on those campuses. You want to do any calculators that they offer to show you what a financial aid package could look like, because you want to make sure you're telling them that you're going to come if they admit you. You want to make sure that it's going to be an affordable choice for you. So just think carefully about that early decision. Rolling admissions is that some campuses just open up their college for admission and you can apply over a long period of time, really not a deadline. In those cases, if you know you're going to apply to a college with rolling admission, I would say apply on the early end so that you take advantage of any financial aid that's available, all of that. An open admission, that would be, for example, our community colleges, which basically admit most students for most programs anytime. So you have a high school diploma or equivalent, you can get admitted to a community college, which is terrific. One thing to note, though, is it doesn't mean you can get admitted to every single program. There are still programs on community college campuses that are small programs. So it doesn't guarantee admission to every single program, but it guarantees admission to the college, the community college. And then what's part of the application? Well, first is the application form itself. And I mentioned the Common App. So that's one very popular application that many colleges use. And you go to commonapp.org, and that's where you apply. You complete your information there, and then you can send it to many colleges. There are a few others. The Universal College app, some colleges use that. The Coalition app, some colleges use that. Some colleges will allow you to use the Coalition app or the Common App, and you can make that choice. So you just have to find out what colleges will accept, and then you make the choice of the app to use. And then some colleges just have their own website application, for example, and some even have a paper application, although that seems to be getting fewer and fewer. And then what else is part of the application? So definitely the application form, your high school transcript, always. And then if the college requires a standardized a test, that would be a part of that. If not, that wouldn't be. Many colleges require 1 to 3 letters of recommendation. Usually you're putting information about a resume or activity list of how you spend your time. Usually there's a personal essay. And then the last 3 are not as common, but some colleges will require an interview. And if you're applying to a specialized program, such as a theater program or a music program, there might be an audition. And if it's another type of art-focused program, you might submit a portfolio. So those are usually for more specialized programs. So again, key is to be organized, find out what's required for admissions at each of the institutions that you're applying to. And so what are colleges looking for? They are looking for academic readiness. They want to make sure that they bring in a class of students who can not only do the work at the college, which is very important because they want you to be successful, but they want to make sure that you're going to excel and that you're going to do very well there, and you're going to feel a part of the college because you are academically suited. So academic readiness might be the most important factor that colleges look for. And how do they determine if you're ready academically? They look at your high school grades and program, and they make sure that you took a rigorous high school curriculum. And that means that you took advantage of some, if your high school offered an honors class, maybe you took advantage of that in an area or two. Good grades versus challenging classes. People will always ask, is it better that I receive an A in a regular class or a B in an honors class? Colleges do like to see that you challenged yourself, especially in a couple of areas. So it is always a good idea to challenge yourself with your high school curriculum. They like to see improvement over time. Did your grades, go up from freshman year, or did they go down? They like to see that you've sometimes exceeded minimum requirements. And they do like to see that you're doing well in the classes that seem relevant to the major or program that you're applying to. If you're going to apply to a science-based major, they want to make sure that your math and science classes, you did a good job there. And if you have interest, you can look up the sliding scale for mass public colleges and universities to just see if your grades fit, and your grade point average fits at the different public institutions in Massachusetts. So then let's talk about standardized tests. Some colleges require them still, and that means either the SAT or the ACT. And it also usually means you could take either. Colleges accept both. And sometimes the advice that I've received from the tests is you want to take a practice test of both. Look into each, take a practice test, see which one honestly you like better, you felt more successful at, and then really prepare for that one and go forward and take that one. And the best preparation is to take practice tests, look at the questions, try to answer them, and then at some point take an actual test in a timed way, you want to have done that before you sit down to take the actual ACT or SAT. And there's a lot of practice. You'll take the PSAT from the College Board, probably. That's a practice test. And then you can see where you need to do a little more work. ACT has a practice test. So you can spend a little time with that if colleges require a standardized test. And again, many do not. And you can go to fairtest.org that provides a list of over 2,000 test optional schools. Another thing to know about is if you take an advanced placement class and then you take the AP exam after that, that's a way to show subject knowledge and show that you can do college level work. So colleges like to see that. And your activity list and resume becomes important for college admissions officers because they want to see what else do you do. Academics are so important. Academic rigor is so important, but what else do you do? How do you spend your time? And the nice thing to know is it doesn't matter how you spend your time. In other words, the specific activity. It's just that they want to have a sense of how you do spend your time, and does that showcase leadership ability? Does it showcase responsibility, service? So do you have a community service job? Do you volunteer? Do you take care of family members? Do you have a paid job after school? Do you do sports? Do you play an instrument? And are you involved in a club? Have you become the leader of that club? They like to see all of that to get a sense of who you are outside of the classroom and what you might bring to the college. And then the essay. So the essay is really your chance to share something about you that cannot be seen in the rest of the application. They're going to look at your transcript, they're going to look at your activity list, but you have a chance to write something and show about your personal qualities so that they have a sense of who you are and what you're going to bring to campus. And you can really write about anything. I'm going to show you a list right here of the Common App essay prompts, and you can see that they are wide. So one is reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking? What was the outcome? And how about this? Describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? And what or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? So those are just some ideas. These are to get your mind rolling on what to write about. But again, you can write about anything, and you should write about something that's meaningful to you so that you want to write about it. Start writing early. You'll probably edit it a number of times. You might even change the topic, but just take some time. And then at some point, when you have an essay or two that you think are okay, you're feeling pretty good about them, then you might want to share it with a friend or a parent or a teacher and get some feedback. You shouldn't have anyone tell you, don't write about this, don't write about that, or rewrite it for you. But take their advice, as if they say, I think you should tell a little bit more about the story that you had from your volunteer job. So take that type of advice from people, just and then rewrite and make sure that it's grammatically correct. There aren't any spelling errors. Don't plagiarize, and again, having time to get this essay in good shape. And again, a little tip: really enjoy and like what you're writing about, because that will come out in your writing. And letters of recommendation. So you want to probably get one or two teacher recommendations. Your high school will tell you the guidelines. They might have a form spring of junior year that you can give to a couple of teachers. In an ideal world, you'll have a junior year teacher in one of your 5 major subjects: math, English, history, science, foreign language. But there can be exceptions to that. The key is you want to get a recommendation from someone who knows you well and can write details about you. And always give the person a lot of time to write, and make sure you thank the people who are writing those recommendations. And interviews, I mentioned this is less common, but many colleges make interviews available, but they are not required. So take advantage of all of that. Why not talk to someone and ask your questions and be able to share about yourself? That's always a good idea. But then there are some schools that require it, and it becomes not just an informational interview, but an evaluative interview, meaning that it's part of the admissions process. And if that's the case, you must do the interview. So just be prepared. Be prepared to answer open-ended questions. The admissions representatives who conduct these interviews love talking with 18-year-old students. I mean, that's why they do this work. And so they just want to have a great conversation, learn more about you. So go in being a little bit prepared about yourself. Think about what you like to do, what books you've read lately, what kinds of things you do with your friends, what subjects you like, what you like about that institution, and make sure you've done your research about the institution too, because you want to have done that in advance so they know that you're very serious about applying to that school. And then just be yourself. Just have a nice conversation with the person. So then we get to the admissions decision. And again, this may happen earlier if you've applied early action or early decision, but it will happen sometime by the spring of senior year. And it could be that you're admitted. Yay, that's what you want. If you're accepted, that's wonderful. It could mean if you apply early that you'll receive a decision of deferred. In other words, we're going to defer you to the regular admissions pool. You don't know the decision, but we're not going to tell you right now. It could be that you're denied. And let's just get this out there right now. Don't worry about that. That may happen. College admissions is a competitive process. There, as I mentioned, for many colleges, there are many, many more qualified students who apply than can be admitted. And so there are small institutions that accept 500 students each year, and they're from all over the world. So, and they might receive 20,000 applications. So they just can't admit everyone. And that's just part of the process. So don't let that devastate you. Just know it's part of the process. You may get denied from some institutions. And then a trickier one, you may get waitlisted, which means you're qualified, but they just don't have enough spots for all the qualified students. So you may be told, you're on the wait list, but you're not accepted. And what you can do for that is you can let them know that you're interested, you want to stay on the wait list, you're still interested, you might want to continue to let them know that, send any new information about yourself. But if you're waitlisted, you also want to move on mentally and start looking at the other colleges who are admitting you, because by May 1st, you'll have to make that decision. And you want to make that decision and go to a college that's admitting you. And then college affordability. I mentioned that that's very important. So the things you can find out on a very high level is, what is the cost of attendance at the institution that you're applying to? And then what is the net price? The net price is the cost to you, the full cost minus any financial aid you're receiving, what you're really going to have to pay. So that's a good idea to understand that. Then you want to know what financial aid applications are required and what the deadline for those is. You want to understand need-based aid, in other words, financial aid that's based on your financial aid application and family income and assets, versus merit-based aid, which is based on your qualities for admissions, like your grades and test scores and all of the things that make you a good candidate for admission, so that are based on non-financial things. So you can also start looking for private scholarships by doing some online searches, or just keeping your eyes open at your school, in your town, all of that. And this is the calculator. It's a net price calculator that you can use to determine the net price at some of these colleges you're applying to. And all colleges have a net price calculator. You can type that into the search bar and complete that as you will on a financial aid application eventually. And that will give you a sense of, here's an estimate of the financial aid I could receive if I go to this institution. Again, it's only as good as what you put in. It's not exact. I don't know if you would make a hard and fast decision about applying or not based on this, but you might just take it into consideration as knowing upfront which colleges may be more affordable than others before you have to make that final decision. You really want to wait till you receive all the financial aid offers to be able to make that final decision, but this just gives you a sense. The way I used it with my kids was to just say, if we found a college that wasn't giving a lot of financial aid, I might say, doesn't look like you'll get a whole lot of financial aid there. Let's make sure you have other colleges on your list that seem upfront to be a little more affordable with the estimate. And the forms you'll need to apply for financial aid are always the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. All colleges and universities require that. And that for next year will be available October 1st, 2024. And that will ask you about your 2023 income. And you will complete that next fall. And some colleges require an additional form called the CSS profile. About 200 colleges and universities require that. Also open on October 1st. And if a college requires that, you need to do both the FAFSA and the CSS profile. And some colleges have their own specific financial aid applications, so look for that on their websites as well. And two programs to be aware of are here in Massachusetts. We have a program called Mass Transfer, which allows students to begin at a community college and then transfer to a four-year public institution with many benefits, financial benefits, such as guaranteed credit transfer, tuition credit, and freezes on tuition. So go to that website, mass.edu/mass transfer, and check out that program, because that can keep college very affordable, and maybe again have an option on your list that's very affordable. And then Tuition Break is another program through the New England Board of Higher Education, and that allows students to attend college in a neighboring state, a public institution in a neighboring state that you would typically pay out of state tuition costs. And yet for certain programs, you can still pay Massachusetts in-state tuitions, even though you're attending out of state, if you attend certain programs. So check out that website, look at those programs, and see if any of that could apply to you too. Two ways to keep the costs down low. And here is a timeline for you of what you can be doing spring and summer of junior year. Again, researching colleges, that can be the fun part. If you just really keep an open mind, students, parents, and take advantage of those online tools, as well as visiting campuses, going to college fairs, all of that, thinking about which teachers are going to write your letters of recommendation, and taking the ACT or SAT if any of your colleges require that. And as I mentioned, start writing that college essay early so you have plenty of time for revisions. And then fall of senior year, you might want to retake that SAT and ACT, secure those letters of recommendation, finalize your college essay, and then you'll want to attend MEFA's Financial Aid 101 webinar that teaches you everything about financial aid. You'll complete your admissions applications and you'll submit the CSS profile if required. And also the FAFSA, your admissions applications in the winter, apply for any private scholarships, and you'll send in mid-year grade reports. In spring of senior year, you'll begin receiving those admissions and financial aid offers, so you'll be able to go through those. And you can always attend MEFA's Understanding Financial Aid Offers and Paying the College Bill webinars, which really talk you through making sure that you're making an affordable choice, as well as a choice that meets all the other criteria. And you'll also want to attend any open house programs on campuses and you will choose your college by May 1st of senior year. I mentioned MEFA Pathway is MEFA's free college and career planning tool. And you can just go in. I am a student, set up an account, and the resources in this website include skills and interest assessments, career exploration, a college search, financial aid and scholarship information, and there's a personalized digital portfolio to keep you on track with all of your information. So that's a great tool for you. So right now you can sign up for any other MEFA webinars at mefa.org/events. You can begin researching colleges and start creating your college list. And here are all the ways to stay connected to MEFA on social media. And you can always be in touch with MEFA with any questions. So our 1-800 number is there, or you can email collegeplanning@mefa.org. So thank you so much.